Was having a conversation with my coworker yesterday about that lady Andrea Yates who drowned her kids, and the whole conversation was about what I thought about that and the consequences that come with crime. And I told her a couple of things, but the result of my conversation with her was the goal. What is the goal of the criminal justice, for example? What is the goal of addressing an issue? What is the goal? And I had brought up a story that I told about when I was a drug counselor at the Kyle unit. The topic was, should all drugs be legal? And most people who are into weed and, occasional drug use are obviously going to would like drugs to be legal. And so when you ask the question, what is the goal of legalizing, in this conversation, all drugs? What's the goal? We might think, a reduction in prison population. We might think in terms of increased personal autonomy. People can do whatever they want without consequences, without going to jail, without being locked up. But what about the consequence of, increased drug addiction, increased child abuse, increased spousal abuse? What about the consequence of increased DWIs? We don't think about those consequences. If we, for example, in this topic, if we legalize all drugs, we might think the goal is reduce prison population, increase personal autonomy, but the actual effect is going to be more drug addiction, more deaths, more abuse. But we don't think about that. And I brought that to my coworker's attention. When you think about how you deal with crime, how you deal with misbehavior, there has to be a goal in mind. And my goal is the biblical goal. You have to meet misbehavior, right? / crime with swift, decisive action. That's the biblical prescription. You meet it head on, instantaneously. You neutralize the threat with the goal of restoration. So it's not just punishment for punishment's sake. It's grabbing a hold of the offender, right? Physically, in most cases, and neutralizing their threat to themselves and to others, with the goal of restoring them and turning them into an asset. From a threat to an asset. And that should be the goal of everything. Whether it's in a home with a child, an annoying or crazy employee at work, or just a criminal in society. The goal should always be to address issues head on, swiftly, decisively, neutralizing the threat to the common good, with the goal of restoring that person who is a threat and transforming them into an asset. That should be the goal for everything. No matter whether you're in a church or in a home or a job. So think about that. What is the goal of your actions? Not just, crime and whatnot, but what is the goal of what you want to do? Because the goal should determine the pursuit. The goal should determine the action. The goal should determine what happens between A and B. The problem is a lot of times we don't know what the goal is. We just react off emotion. Again, regardless of what the issue may be. We're reactive, we're impulsive, we just jump. We're knee-jerking our life. We're knee-jerking our way through life with no real sense of purpose, direction, or what the end result, the goal should be. So think about that on this Friday. What is your goal? And if you don't know it, be careful, because you might just be an aimless, blind archer just shooting every which way, hoping you'll hit something. Y'all have a good Friday.